Hi, my name is Manda Johnson, and I am the co-founder from Coaching from the Kitchen, where we provide resources to better your health. One of the main goals for Coaching from the Kitchen is to educate you on what is actually in the food and why you might want to change up your meal planning for your family. Then we provide you with the right resources and make it simple so you can be successful with it. One of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this concept is because of my own personal health history journey. In order for me to do that with you, I'm going to flip the screen so that you can see the slides that I wanted to help you understand this concept. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and I am going to kind of just be talking in the background. So hang on. There we go. So my journey, my health journey started way back when I was a kid, years ago. In fact, looking back in my childhood, I can't ever remember a day that I did not feel sick. If it wasn't for the constant headaches every single day, it would be body aches, or it would be a stomach ache, or even joint flare-ups here and there. It was awful. I just never felt good as a kid. And if all the symptoms weren't bad enough, I also had allergies, both food and environmental allergies, which then the doctors decided, well, I think you need allergy shots. So I was given allergy shots for most of my elementary school year, and in hopes that those allergies would eventually clear up. In addition to all the allergy shots, I was also given over-the-counter medication and some inhalers to help with my asthma. Now, little did I know that there was a toxic storm brewing inside my body, and I didn't even realize it. But by the grace of God, I was married into a health and nutrition business called Total Health Nutrition Center in Menomonee Falls, Wisconsin. And that was about 20 years ago. I soon realized that there was so much more than health than just going to the doctor and taking the prescriptions that they wanted me to be on when I didn't feel good. I actually had options, and I felt like I had some hope to feeling my best. And that is when I discovered how the natural health world was so open. That's when I discovered my food choices were actually affecting my health. And that was a direct link into how I was feeling. And that's when the light bulb went on. I realized that I actually had a choice on how I can feel throughout the day. And that is when my research started way back 20 plus years ago. I started asking a huge amount of questions. I started educating myself with different seminars, and I started to heal my body. And that is what led me into today, this very moment, talking with you. I am now a certified health coach, a cellular healing specialist, and a licensed massage therapist. However, it's important to understand that throughout all of those years of searching, I tried so many different things, so many diets, so many supplements. I tried a lot of different exercise programs, and I never, ever was satisfied with the results. Some of those results are these common places where people look. All of these options people have looked to, including myself, throughout all the years. And some of those, and all of them will provide some kind of level of results. Let's face it, right? Quick results. Now, but those results were often temporary, and that frustrated me. I don't know about you, but when I do regular exercise, I want to lose weight. And if I do calorie restrictions, I better be losing weight too. So because of that frustration, that gave me the the curiosity and the drive to go ahead and dig deeper. You see, this, I believe, all these options here, low carb, low fat, regular exercise, calorie restrictions, fad diets, those are all like temporarily going to help you, and they're part of the solution. But you don't have a consistency of feeling good, keeping the weight off, and having your vitality. And that's when I decided there has to be more. So you need to dig deeper to get the answers. You have to get to the root of the problem. And that's what I did. Today, I plan to reveal to you some of my top weight loss and health secrets. And I am happy to say that I am now helping people with this process through the programs that I offer at Coaching from the Kitchen. My number one, not necessarily the number one thing, but the number one secret that I chose was exercise. Now, okay, we all know how to exercise, but are we doing the right type of exercise? There is new research out there that suggests that something called interval training is the best exercise for burning fat. Now, oh my goodness, do we want to be more efficient when we exercise? Yes, we do, right? More bang for the buck. And the bottom line is that the goal is to burn that fat off. The one way, now we know that everybody decides to do different exercise programs for different reasons, and they choose different gyms for different reasons. But the one takeaway that I want to give you about this type of exercise is that it will efficiently burn fat faster and up to 24 hours after you actually exercise. That's pretty amazing. So that's what brought me here today. Like I said before, I tried many different programs. I've gone to different types of gyms. I've done a lot of different supplements for weight loss and feeling good and energy. And this was all done in the last 20 plus years. And I have researched and different techniques and have come to realize that for me, Jazzercise is on track with everything that I need in a weight loss fat burning program. The science behind Jazzercise is amazing, and it lines up with the interval training fat burning process. Now, Jazzercise for me personally has given me much more than exercise. It's given me accountability. There's great groups out there that will just pull you in and just make you feel welcomed. You're going to have new friends that are all on the same page of wanting to feel good and exercise. It's going to be a social outlet for you, and it's a stress relief. So for me, that was huge. I needed that. I thrive on just being around people. However, this secret was just like the missing piece for me. And you have to remember and realize, and the more you get to know me, you're going to understand this, that it took me years to actually get to this process and find my exercise method, which would be interval training and Jazzercise combined. Now, the reason being that this took me years is because I was always sick. I told you a little bit before about how sick I was as a child, but it was because I was always sick, and every time I went ahead and tried an exercise program, I'd get even more sick, and that just frustrated me. I just wanted to be that person that was just go-getting, but every time I just kind of added that one more thing, it was as if my body just said, enough is enough. You're done. I like to use this analogy that's on the slide right now as look at this as your body is a bucket. I know it's not very attractive, But just think about it. Throughout your lifetime, you are putting things into your body. You're putting in things into your bucket. Sometimes they're toxins. Sometimes there's emotional trauma. And sometimes there's infections that you just have to deal with and then heal from, hopefully. Now, I want you to take a look at all of these symptoms and just kind of, I'm sure if you're like me, you could pick out several. Now, actually, with me, it was pretty much all of these at one point of my life, which is pretty sad. And then when I started to add exercise on top of that, it just overflowed and I became sick. Now, exercise may not be the reason why your body and your bucket body would overflow, but it might be something else. It might be a trauma. It might be some kind of sickness that you're going through. It might be a certain toxin that you're just exposed to and you're not even realizing it. I want you to understand this because it's gonna help you later with everything else that I'm going to talk about. Because my next health secret that got me to the level that I'm at now is crucial with this bucket theory. Secret number 2 is the discovery for me for cellular inflammation. Now, you have to remember, health, it starts from the cells. It's important for you to realize that every single living thing in your body, including all the way down to your cellular level, everything is alive. That is alive in your body is made up of cells. So that means every single organ, everything in your body, your blood, everything is made up of cells. You have to realize that if your cells are not healthy, if your liver cells aren't healthy, your heart cells aren't healthy, your skin cells aren't healthy, you're going to overflow with cellular inflammation. Before I talk more about cellular inflammation, I just want to go ahead and go a little bit deeper on how cells are made and what is actually in the cells. So I'm going to use this as an example for our cell, basic cell, and I want you to understand that all cells are protected by a wall. And this wall, which is pink in this slide, and you can see it's all the way around the cell, it's made up of a dual layer of fat, which is called cholesterol. We all know what cholesterol is, right? And when this wall is healthy, it can help supply our bodies and the insides of our cells with everything it needs. And we can get all the good in nutrition into our cells, and it can kind of get everything that it doesn't need outside of our cells. Now, inside the cells, inside the wall, inside the cell is something called, I like to call them little power plants. Their technical name is mitochondria, which produces the energy for all living things called ATP. Now, the other thing in our cells is called DNA. Now, DNA is the blueprint for each one of our cells, and it tells the cells what it needs to be doing. So every single cell in your body has a particular job, and every cell needs to have that DNA that is going to tell it what it's supposed to be doing and how it's supposed to be functioning. Now, with that DNA, it needs to be protected. And there's something called the glutathione that protects our DNA. And this glutathione is so expensive to make in our bodies. It basically takes 3 ATPs to equal 1 glutathione. So we need to keep on producing that ATP in order to have that glutathione, be strong, because it needs to be replenished. So think about it this way. This is the bottom line. When our mitochondria is not functioning and it doesn't produce the ATP that it needs to produce, our glutathione is lowered, then that makes our DNA at risk for damage. That's huge. Okay, so the bottom line is that if we don't have our cell functioning inside, we are going to not have the vitality we want, and we're not going to be able to have the cells do what they're supposed to be doing. And each cell has a particular job it needs to do. Now, all cells have receptors. Those are the little marks that are right, with the point, the arrows. And these receptors go ahead and nourish your cells. They give nourishment inside your cell. And there's so many different receptors for each cell. It just kind of depends on what the cell needs. So we got vitamin and mineral receptors, some amino acid receptors, and every hormone you can name, there's a receptor for that hormone. And all food that you choose to put into your bodies will be utilized all the way down to the cellular level. So that includes good food and not so good food. The cells of your bodies are your foundation for your health. So when I figured this out, and I was intrigued and curious, I thought to myself, so what would cause you not to have healthy cell function? This is a question that I really dug deep into because I wanted vitality and I wanted to feel good and I needed to lose weight. So it all made sense to me. So what causes cellular function reduction are these three main culprits. Now, I'm going to explain each one very briefly so that you can better understand what's happening all the way down to your cellular level. So we have refined carbohydrates and sugars, we have bad fats, and we have toxins. Those are the three main culprits that will impact your cellular function and cause cellular inflammation, which in the end causes you to not feel good, it causes you to not have energy, and it causes you your life. So what does refined carbohydrates do to your cells? Well, we know that it's bad to eat refined carbohydrates and sugar and, oh, I just had a donut or I had a cookie. Well, you know what? We're human and we do that. But there's ways of making your cookies, and you'll learn this when you work with me, healthier and tasty, that you won't be affecting your cellular function. Now, what in all reality, besides the fact that it's not good for your weight, what does carbohydrates and sugar do to the cell? Well, for starters, they compete with your mineral and vitamin receptors. So that means that even though you're eating all the good vegetables, maybe you're taking a supplement that's going to help with having a multiple. If you have an overabundance of refined carbohydrates and sugars, it's going to compete with those vitamin and mineral receptors. And then that means that you're not going to be nourishing your cells. Even though you think you are doing good things for your body, your cells can't get at it because refined carbohydrates and sugars, they will compete with those receptors. And then they'll actually put a barricade up so that the nutrients can't even get in and nourish the inside of the cells. And also sugar, you see that little squiggly line down there? That's my sad attempt for inflammation. So it's going to cause inflammation around the cell wall, which will weaken it. So what does bad fat do to your cells? Well, in addition to everything that sugar and refined carbohydrates do to your cells, bad fats will cause a film around your wall, which in return will weaken that cell wall. And we're going to talk about what happens with that in a little bit. So you might be thinking, okay, well, bad fat, good fat, I'm all confused because now you're saying I need fat. And I know we've been taught for years and years and years about low fat is best. We don't want to add fat to our bodies. But you know what's happening with that? Think about how the cell is made in that cell wall. That cell wall is made up of fat. It's made up of cholesterol. So if we keep on eliminating fat out of our diets, that's where we can get high cholesterol and different things happening because we don't have what our body is needing. Now, I just wanted to kind of point out to you that, yeah, there's bad fat out there. There's bad choices. And I believe that that is ideally what people wanted you to know, but just didn't relay that information to you. These bad fats are man-made fats. You can see on the one side, they're trans fats. We are educated on this, okay? And we are educated to the point, I believe, just for weight loss and health. But did you ever think about, did anybody ever talk to you about how bad fats affect you down to the cellular level? I don't know. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, we also have good fats, natural fats. I like to say that they're fats that God gave us here on earth to use. There's a picture of those healthy fats. And those are the fats that we should be nourishing our bodies with. So what else is healthy fats good for? Well, healthy fats give you a steady source of energy that will last with you all day long. Okay? Up to all day long, I should say, because it depends on the person. Healthy fats, is used to build parts of you, especially your brain. If you're finding yourself foggy and not being able to think clearly, do a check with how many healthy fats you're actually applying to your diet. And then adjust it if you feel that you need to. Or come talk to me and I'll help you sort through that. But you know, the most important thing there is about healthy fats and why you need them is because your entire cell wall, and to remind you, there's over 1 trillion cells alone in an adult body that need healthy fats. Your cell wall is made up of fat. So you have to understand that you need healthy fats. And if you feel you need help with that, contact me. The very last thing that is a culprit for cellular inflammation and cell function is this: toxins. There's a lot of different ways we can approach toxins today, and I'm just going to hit on a few. So what do toxins really do in your body? What are toxins? This is a whole big educational series. And you know, if you have questions, just email me. I'm happy to help you through this process. Now, you have to remember that toxins, okay, first of all, we have to remember that cells are made up of the outer layer of fat, right? It's a bilayer of fat. And we need to also remember that toxins you're going to see in this slide that they like to attach themselves to fat. They don't care if it's good fat or bad fat. They don't discriminate. So, in essence, this is going to also drive inflammation around the cell wall. And in essence, the toxins that get to the cellular level, they are going to penetrate through the cells and get into the cells, because not just toxins, but because of our lifestyle of actually, hang on, I'm sorry about that. You have to remember that it's not just the toxins that we're dealing with. We're dealing with refined carbohydrates, sugars, which we now know puts a barricade up, and it's not going to allow good things into your cells. It's going to cause cellular inflammation. And then we are also dealing with bad fats that are causing inflammation around the cell wall. And then when you add the toxins, it's going to cause cell death and mutation and premature aging. So that takes me back to the concept of where people end up looking and are unsatisfied. This screen, remember, I said low carb, low fat, regular exercise, calorie restriction, and fad diets. These are all places that people end up, and they're disappointed because they're not digging deep enough. They are not understanding the fullness of how your body has been designed. And it goes down to cellular inflammation and how the cells are functioning. So back to our toxins, I want to kind of just touch upon, okay, what is a toxin? Why do I care? And I don't eat toxins. I'm pretty healthy. Well, here's a classic example of something that we've been fooled into thinking is healthy, okay, because it's low fat. But in order to make it taste good, because they took all the tastiness out because of the fat, fat gives us flavor. They took all that out and they added things. They added chemicals, they added artificial sweeteners, they added toxins, and we've been fooled into thinking that this is something good. Toxins are foreign in our bodies. They don't belong in our bodies, and we have the choice to start reading labels and understanding, wow, what is that actually doing to my body? I don't want to put that in my body. So food is just one example of toxins and how they can go ahead and disrupt the cellular function. I'm just going to touch on other toxins. On the one side with the check marks, you're going to see a list of toxins that we're exposed to on a regular basis. And, it is what it is. On the other side, you're going to see with the little arrows of how it affects our body. Now, toxins like these don't just like the fat around our cells. I'm going to dig a little deeper here and help you understand for the people who have been trying everything to lose weight, but they can't. Here is something that you're going to be interested in. One of the big things that can cause a person to not lose weight is when toxins have built up in the body. They're either food toxins or environmental toxins. Okay? Now, when they've been built up in the body is actually starting to push those toxins into the fat cells. Because these fat cells are an area where it's the least threatening to the body. And if there are toxins in the fat cells, they will be less likely to be resistant to releasing the toxins, and therefore your body holds on to the fat longer. Now, we can't live our lives in a bubble. We can't live our lives in fear, but we have the power to educate ourselves and help ourselves and our families and our loved ones to be less exposed to the toxins and the things that are going to cause cellular inflammation, which will affect our cell functions. I want you to take special note of this very last arrow. It says disrupts control tower. The control tower is part of the endocrine system. Now, that control tower, the hypothalamus and pituitary, they're in the brain. Here's a picture of the actual endocrine system, and the hypothalamus is in the brain. The hypothalamus is very crucial and has a huge part in weight loss resistance also. You see, this gland is responsible for producing hormones that allow the body to burn fat as a reserve energy source. So when this gland starts to get out of balance, the body will actually start storing that fat and not burning it. And until this gland can get rebalanced and set, the person who is trying everything will not lose weight despite their effort. This hits home for me because when I realized this, I'm like, could this be it? I'm doing everything else I know right, but I still can't lose that weight. So what could throw out that hypothalamus? Well, it really goes back to your bucket, your body bucket. If you have chronic stress all the time, if you have trauma that you've been through, or even hormone changes, those are all factors that can disrupt your hypothalamus. That is something that I understood and I took charge of. Because about 7 years ago, secret number 3 happened for me. I was about 7 to 10 years ago, I would say. I was about 25 to 30 pounds overweight, and I just couldn't lose the weight. I tried everything. I was walking 5 miles a day, eating salad, and very strict with the things I was doing, and it wasn't coming off. And I just knew once I figured out that bucket theory that was the reason. My hypothalamus was whacked. It was in trouble and not doing its job. It was taking a vacation because they're just like, I can't handle with all of this stuff that is going on. And I'm going to fight you to the end. So luckily, by the grace of God, Total Health, at Total Health in Menomonee Falls, we launched a new weight loss program that balances the hypothalamus along with your entire endocrine system. And it changed everything, okay? I lost weight. I kept it off. This is 10 years ago, okay? I've kept it off, and I have more energy. I have vitality back, and I can do so much more than I did before. And going back to secret number 1, I can exercise again. I can socialize. I can have friends and have fun. So, the curiosity got the best of me when this worked. And I started, way back, okay, when I lost the weight, way back, I started researching. And I already kind of went through that process with you now. I started researching and I started figuring out, what does food actually do to your body? And that's when I found out about the different food choices and how sugar affects your body and refined carbohydrates, and how we're being fooled into not eating fat because we think that's healthy. That is when all of that formed. And from that, I was able to do different educational classes, and I'm able to help clients that come through the door at Total Health and help them with transforming their kitchens too. Now, that's not where my story stops, because my mission is to help as many people as possible gain their health back through better nutrition and have the weight control that they want, so that they can spend more time with their family and they can have fun with their loved ones. Me of everybody knows that this is a process, and it did take a while for me to complete this entire process, but my services that I offer, it starts in the kitchen, because I believe that's the core foundation of what needs to happen. And that's the concept that inspired me to go ahead and start my virtual practice so that I can help as many people as possible through coaching from the kitchen. So there you have it. These are my latest weight loss and health secrets. Now that you invested time in your health by listening to this information, do something with it. Bring simplicity and vitality back into your life. I'm so excited to be able to invite you to go ahead and check out my new virtual business. Check out my website. Feel free. It's www.coachingfromthekitchen.com. And, send me, your questions through there, and just kind of check out what I have to offer right now. And I know, I went through this pretty fast, and I gave you a lot of information. So with that in mind, I want to personally invite you to just email me back with any questions that you have. If you don't have my email because you're watching this through YouTube, or maybe you caught it at my website, or maybe you're listening to it through a podcast, email me personally at Manda, MANDA, at coachingfromthekitchen.com. And I would love to help you with your questions about providing better health for your family. Thank you so much for taking the time today to explore additional options in making your health a priority this year. And I hope to hear from you soon. Goodbye.